What does an audit of your digital device use look like, especially 1 hour before you go to bed? Think about your home and the persistent state of being plugged into computers, smartphones, tablets, e-readers, and even smart televisions. Can you pay attention to an entire episode of the latest binge-worthy series without picking up your phone?
Welcome to Philosopher Insights, the podcast that delivers wisdom in minutes a day that you can put into practice daily and strive to master over a lifetime.
The podcast committed to sharing ideas that encourage you to bridge the gap between who you are today and the person you aspire to be in the future.
Hi, my name is Herb Lamba, and welcome to my podcast, where I will share practical insights from the world's best authors.
Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is. The quest to become the best version of you starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to Philosopher Insights. My name is Herb Lamba. Today, we're taking a look at The Busy Brain Cure, a no-nonsense guide to improving your mental health. The author of this book, Dr. Romie Mushtaq, and is published in 2024. I want to share a handful of my favorite insights, starting with stress success cycle. Do I have a busy brain? What is the cure? Sleep hygiene, neuroinflammation, pump the brakes on omega-6, tech-induced adult onset ADD, and then finish it off with the 8-week brain shift protocol. So let's get started with the introduction. Quote, between our schedules, screens, and screaming individuals on the street, our senses are overloaded. There are too many browser windows open on our multiple screens and in our brains. We no longer live in a world where stressors are temporary and our brains have a chance to reset back to the calm channel. Instead, stress is chronic, and we can feel helpless as we sink further into burnout. I'm here to tell you that living with chronic stress takes its toll on your memory, ability to think, mood, and all aspects of your physical health. Chronic and unchecked stress will cause chronic disease, and it will kill you. It almost killed me, and I'm a brain doctor. I should have known better. What if I told you that traditional medicine got it wrong? The attention deficit disorder, ADD, anxiety, and insomnia in adults are not 3 different problems, but are all part of one syndrome. I call this syndrome a busy brain. And let me be clear right here in the introduction. The cure to a busy brain is not a cleanse, a diet, or the next nutritional fad. In fact, when we cure our busy brains, we stop stress eating and instead mindfully enjoy comfort food. My cure for the busy brain is called the brain shift protocol. So what is the brain shift? I define a brain shift as a series of micro habits to implement that have the biggest impact on your brain and physical health. The shift in brain shift is an acronym for the 5 key areas that are responsible for the root cause of a busy brain in most individuals. The S is for sleep, the H for hormones, the I, markers of inflammation, the F, food as fuel, and then T for technology. In this book, you are offered the 8-week plan to help you find focus, tame your anxiety, and sleep again. End quote. Now, I captured that from the introduction, and you know that feeling when your mind is racing a million miles a minute, when anxious thoughts, distractions, and insomnia seem to gang up on you. Well, Dr. Romie has cracked the code on this all-too-common experience she calls the busy brain. In her game-changing book that took the nation by storm, she flips the script on how we view anxiety, adult ADHD, and sleepless nights. Rather than treating them as separate issues, she sees them as symptoms of a much bigger problem, unchecked stress and burnout in our fast-paced lives. It's my privilege to highlight just a few of the most compelling insights from this masterfully crafted book. Insight number 1, stress success cycle. Quote, have you ever asked yourself, why can't I be truly calm or happy in my life? What's missing? Only to have your inner voice immediately answer, well, maybe if I'd meet my quota for my sales goal this quarter, then I'll be happy. Or maybe when I finish that next big remodeling project in the house, I'll finally be able to calm down. Like the success-driven professional you have become, you've set your SMART goals and put myriad other structures and systems in place to manage yourself and your output. You also stress, obsess, and worry until you achieve whatever goal you're working toward in the moment. But invariably, the nagging feeling comes right back. Something is missing. I'm here to tell you that you're stuck on the success-stress cycle if you subscribe to the success at any cost mantra, while wearing your stress as a badge of honor. You have trained your brain to believe that if you could just check off one more item on your never-ending to-do list, then you will have achieved inner peace. End quote. Now I know we've all been there, haven't we? Caught up in that vicious stress success cycle where we're willing to sacrifice pretty much everything, family, health, friendships, just to chase that exciting goal we've set for ourselves. So what's so wrong with that, you ask? Well, let me tell you, instead of ticking off items on your never-ending to-do list, you're likely ending up developing some pretty nasty chronic issues. Panic attacks, anyone? And then you'll be surprised when your family doctor hits you with the news that your blood pressure is through the roof. It's a harsh reality check, but it's one we'll all need to hear. We can't keep running ourselves ragged in pursuit of success without expecting some serious consequences down the line. Insight number 2. Do I have a busy brain? Before we really dig into the juicy insights from this book, I think it's crucial that we get on the same page about what having a busy brain actually means. Because let's be real, we've all experienced those moments, right? It's when your carefully planned schedule and to-do list have been completely hijacked by life's little curveballs. You sit down, determined to power through that one important task, but then your phone starts dinging with emails and social media notifications, and suddenly you're spiraling down a rabbit hole of distractions. And by the time the workday is finally over, you're so frazzled that you can't even think about unwinding unless you have a glass of wine to take the edge off. You crawl into bed, utterly exhausted, thinking, finally, I'm going to get some solid sleep tonight. But then, the second your head hits the pillow, your mind decides it's the perfect time to start racing with a million thoughts, making it impossible to drift off. Does that sound familiar? If so, then you, my friend, have experienced the joys of a busy brain firsthand. Now that we have made that clear, let's move along. Insight number 3. What is the cure? Quote, the problem is not our busy schedules, but how our brains process tasks, emotions, memories, and incoming information 24/7. I researched and created the Brain Shift Protocol to help you jump off the stress success cycle and cure your busy brain. The Brain Shift Protocol is our proprietary and research series of sustainable micro-habits that heal burnout and cure busy brain. A micro-habit is one simple, easy-to-execute habit to improve your health and well-being that feels natural and joyful for you to implement. The Brain Shift Protocol is designed to optimize your well-being in 3 key areas: vitality, restoration, and sense of belonging. End quote. Okay, now let me tell you what I absolutely love about this Brain Shift Protocol the book talks about. It's an 8-week program. That's cool and all. But here's the brilliant part. It doesn't expect you to overhaul your entire life all at once. Not at all. Instead, it has you stacking one tiny, manageable microhabit on top of another over the course of those 2 months. No more feeling overwhelmed and thinking you need to completely revamp everything in your life overnight. With this approach, you get to master each little microhabit one by one, building on your success gradually. And by the time those 8 weeks are up, bam, you've completed an entire research-based protocol designed to stabilize your well-being without even realizing how much you've transformed. Insight number 4, sleep hygiene. Quote, to keep your biological rhythms in balance, on time and consistent, the following behaviors are recommended. Stand, walk, and be outdoors if possible in the sunlight early in the day. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Exercise during the day to make sleeping at night easier. Avoid caffeine after noon to make sure you can fall asleep. Avoid artificial light from electronic devices before bed. And finally, avoid naps longer than 90 minutes. End quote. Now, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Sleep is absolutely crucial for our overall health and well-being. Yet it's the first thing most of us are willing to sacrifice for just about anything else. Work deadlines, social commitments, binge watching our favorite shows, you name it. We'll happily trade in those precious hours of sleep. But Dr. Romie, she's not playing those games. Not anymore. The very first part of the Brain Shift Protocol is all about dialing in your sleep routine and making it a top priority. And let me tell you, as someone who's tried implementing her suggestions in the past, the most impactful change I made was actually sticking to a consistent sleep schedule. I'm talking going to bed and waking up at the exact same time every single day, weekends included. No more of this, I'll sleep in on Saturday to catch up on my sleep debt. Nonsense. Consistency is key. Your brain will love you for it. Insight number 5, neuroinflammation. Quote, inflammation in the brain is known as neuroinflammation. Chronic stress creates neuroinflammation in many pathways in the brain. At the time of chronic stress, the amygdala stimulates the hypothalamus. With the stimulation of the hypothalamus, there is a disruption in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axes and autonomic dysfunction. In addition, the neuroinflammation disrupts the circadian rhythm, which is one of the root causes of a busy brain. Important hormones that govern your sense of hunger, fullness, and metabolism are mediated by your circadian rhythms in the hypothalamus. Hormones such as leptin and insulin are dysregulated, and this helps to explain why hunger levels are affected by chronic stress and a busy brain. End quote. So get this, the brain has an immune system just like the rest of your body. When this brain immune system gets activated for too long, it's called neuroinflammation. Chronic stress, or being really stressed for a long time, can cause neuroinflammation in different parts of the brain. When you're dealing with chronic stress for a long period of time, the amygdala, that part of the brain that handles intense emotions like fear, start messing with your hypothalamus, which is like this tiny control center in your head. And once the amygdala activates the hypothalamus, it throws off the whole hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is basically the system that's supposed to be regulating your stress hormones. But wait, there's more. The whole neuroinflammation thing also throws a wrench into your circadian rhythm. That internal 24-hour body clock that controls when you feel sleepy and when you're wide awake. And the hypothalamus plays a huge role in managing that clock. So when your circadian rhythms get all out of whack, it starts messing with important hormones like leptin and insulin, the ones that control your hunger levels, that feeling of being full, and how your body uses up energy. And that, my friend, is why chronic stress and having an overactive, busy brain can completely screw up your appetite and your metabolism. Insight number 6. Pump the brakes on omega-6. Quote, several sources of information suggest that human beings evolved on a diet with a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 essential fatty acids, whereas in Western diets, the ratio is now 15-to-1 to 16.7-to-1. Western diets are deficient in healthy omega-3 fatty acids and have excessive amounts of the unhealthy omega-6 fatty acids. A ratio of 4-to-1 was associated with a lower risk and prevention of cardiovascular disease. A ratio of 4-to-1 was also associated with a 70% decrease in total mortality, the risk of death from heart disease. And a ratio of 2.5-to-1 reduced the growth of cancer cells in patients with colorectal cancer. End quote. Now here's the truth. Those processed and fried foods we love are loaded with omega-6 from vegetable oils, but we're overdoing it on that front. To balance things out, we need more omega-3s from fatty fish like salmon, along with walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds. Small swaps can make a huge difference in getting those ratios right, but the payoff is well worth it when it comes to our long-term health. When it comes to getting your omega fatty acid ratios in a healthier balance, the oils you use can make a big difference. Instead of relying heavily on omega-6 rich options like corn, sunflower, and vegetable oils, try swapping them out for oils like extra virgin olive oil that is much higher in omega-3s. Insight number 7. Tech-induced adult onset ADD. Quote, have you already lost your focus in reading this brain science break? Before you tell yourself that your brain is not wired for medical information, take a look at how many digital devices surround you at work and, more importantly, in the nighttime. What does an audit of your digital device use look like, especially 1 hour before you go to bed? Think about your home and the persistent state of being plugged into computers, smartphones, tablets, e-readers, and even smart televisions. Can you pay attention to an entire episode of the latest binge-worthy series without picking up your phone? End quote. Now you know how as a society we are all glued to our phones and devices. Well, turns out all that constant connectivity and digital stimulation is seriously messing up our brains. Get this, the author cites research showing that 70% of young adults diagnosed with ADHD didn't actually meet the criteria for it as kids. Turns out the ADHD symptoms adults experience are totally different from what kids go through. The big kicker here is, for adults, it's more about struggling to stay focused and dealing with mood issues like anxiety, rather than the hyperactive behavior we associate with ADHD in children. Long story short, us modern adults are basically losing our ability to concentrate and stay present amidst all the digital distractions. It's like our brains are being rewired in a way that makes it super tough to lock in and give something our full, undivided attention. So yeah, as awesome as technology is, we might want to be a little more mindful about how much screen time we're really clocking. Our poor, overloaded brains could definitely use a break. Now I do get it, completely unplugging from digital devices and screens can feel impossible these days, especially with work obligations and your favorite shows or social media apps calling your name. But here's what's important to know. You don't have to go full digital detox to start giving your poor, overworked brain a break. Instead, just focus on making small changes, like during that 1 hour before bedtime. Dim the lights, power down all those devices and apps, and give your busy brain a chance to actually calm down before you hit the pillow. Little adjustments like that can go a long way towards quieting the mental chatter and allowing your mind to truly wind down for better sleep. It's all about being intentional with pockets of your day, rather than trying to overhaul your entire technology-laden lifestyle overnight. Insight number 8, 8-week brain shift protocol. You know, as much as I'd love to dive deep into all the nitty-gritty details of the author's 8-week brain shift protocol, I don't want to give it all away. But here's what I can tell you. This protocol is designed to be a total life overhaul, tackling everything from your sleep habits to managing digital distractions to nourishing your body with the right foods. And the brilliant part? It's all about stacking tiny sustainable habits week after week so you're not overwhelmed trying to change everything at once. Quote, "The only way we replace judgment in our brains and toxicity in the workplace is to first brain shift. When we tame our busy brains, we then lead our lives and teams with a calm, focused mind and, more importantly, an open heart. When we face our busy brain and choose to brain shift, we are able to succeed at a level we never realized while living a life of purpose. That is my fervent hope for all of you." End quote. Well, that wraps up the juicy insights I wanted to highlight from Dr. Romie Mushtaq's brilliant book, The Busy Brain Cure. I know we covered a lot of ground here, from the impact of our digital world on focus and attention, to the mind-blowing statistics on adult ADHD, to those life-changing tips for reclaiming control over your mind. But here's the thing, I'm not expecting you to overhaul your entire life overnight based on what we discussed today. If you tried to implement everything at once, your busy brain would probably just go into overload. Instead, my hope is that you can take just a handful of these insights and use them as a starting point for making some small, sustainable changes in your daily routines and habits. Thanks for listening, and remember, stay curious and keep embracing the wonders of knowledge. Talk to you soon. You've been listening to Philosopher Insights with your host, Herb Lambert. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.